G'day there, guys. We're back on with How You Going with Jason Owen, and right now I'm joined by the one and only Jonathan Coleman. Now, Jono has interviewed the likes of Paul McCartney, Elton John, Cher, Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams, Emma Watson, you name it. It's a phenomenal career, and I'm bloody stoked that he's going to come on and have a chat right now. Um, anyway, that's enough of me. Who wants to listen to me? Let's flick over and have a chat to Jono. Tune in. Guys, I'm joined by Jonathan Coleman. How you going, Jono?
I'm here. I'm self-isolating. I'm feeling good. It's good to talk to another human being, and it's good to actually talk to somebody on the internet who actually talks back rather than you just talking to them. So no, I'm good. I'm good, mate. How you going? How's all my friends out there in the country?
Yeah, mate, it's not too bad, not too bad. Obviously, we're all in isolation at the moment, and it's hard. I'm sort of going mad. I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. I'm sort of locked in the house, but it's what we've got to do. I think everyone's in the same boat, mate. I think it's just everyone's not used to it. I think it's something like I found myself always wanting to be home, until all of a sudden I'm not allowed to go out, and I want to go out.
I know everybody does that thing of saying, "Oh well, I've actually got some spare time now. I can do all those little jobs that I wanted to do around the house." And then you go, "Oh, shall I tidy up that room? Ooh, maybe not.
Yeah.
If I write that next big song and concerto, I'll do that this afternoon." I mean, I'm lucky because where I am, we're up sort of up near Palm Beach on the northern beaches. So we're about an hour out of Sydney, and we've been
Yeah.
up for about 3 weeks, myself and my wife Margot, who's working over there in the home office. I think one of the most important things about self-isolation is give yourself some space. I know that's easier said than done because some people live in small flats and little apartments and stuff. But you've got to give each other a bit of space and then meet each other later on.
You do, mate. Absolutely. Great. What's the first thing you're going to do, Jono, when you get out of isolation, mate?
I think it's called a restaurant. Maybe go to a restaurant or a cafe or something. I sort of miss that a bit. I must say we're basically eating at home up here at Palm Beach. So I've just had my breakfast, a bit of toast with some banana squashed on the top of it, and then the main meal is usually sort of evening time at 6 or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock because my wife Margot works in advertising, so they're busy doing stuff at the moment, producing ads remotely. So she's doing meetings on her phone and on her computer with people in different parts of Australia. They're doing a big campaign, radio and TV campaign at the moment for the NBN.
John, I've got to ask you, mate. You've met some biggest stars ever to walk the earth.
Yeah.
Just to name a few, I've got them written down here. Paul McCartney, Cher, Dustin Hoffman, Emma Watson, Elton John, and many more.
Yeah.
Mate, was there anyone in particular that, like, out of obviously I didn't name everyone, but in your own words and other celebrities you've met, was there anyone that sort of you clicked with? Did you find like a real stronger friendship or anything like that with any celebrities in general?
I think it's the people that you really you're a bit of a fan of. Meeting someone like McCartney and Elton John, I've been lucky enough because of all that time I spent in England. I first met Elton when I was doing Simon Townsend's Wonderwall. That was Kids TV in 1980 on Channel 10, and I was lucky enough to go to an Elton John press conference in Sydney at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and I got a one-on-one interview with him because I was dressed as a bumblebee. And at that time, he was the manager, not the manager. He was the he'd bought the Watford Football Club, and they were called the Bees because they sort of had like a sort of black and yellow kind of logo. So he loved the fact that I went to that trouble. So I got a one-on-one interview with him, and that was the first time I interviewed Elton. And then that became like maybe 5 or 6 over the years, 5 or 6 different interviews with Elton. So he's always been someone I've looked up to, and I loved his music and always will. And the last time we saw Elton was we went and saw him at the Bankwest Stadium at Parramatta a couple of weeks ago. And like McCartney, being in the same city and working on the radio and having the opportunity to interview Paul McCartney and 3 or 4 times. I mean, Paul McCartney, he's like, all those guys are just amazing. And then also being such a Beatles fan, I was like kind of
Oh, mate, huge.
Yeah,
It's
it was.
massive,
And
you know.
it was pretty amazing. The weirdest thing, the funniest thing, well, it's been a couple of weird things with McCartney, which have been wonderfully weird, coming out of a in Soho of a movie, coming out of a movie screening for 20th Century Fox, and it was a Baz Luhrmann movie, and we came out, and I was there with my mum and a friend of mine. We came out upstairs to Soho Square, and I looked over at Soho Square where Paul McCartney's office is. He owns this whole building called McCartney Hall Limited, MPL, and I went, "Hey, look, Mum, there's Paul McCartney." And she went, "Where? Where?" And I went, "That over there, that's Paul McCartney." She went, "No," and I yelled out, "Hey, Paul!" And he went, "Hello, Jono," and it was like, wow. And I said, I said, "There's my mum, Paul." And he goes, "My mum." He goes, "Hello, Jono's mum." Him talking about one of the times we were interviewing him. One time we went to his office and spent like an hour with him in his building, with him talking about their best of Wings CD collection and compilation he was putting out. And another time he said, would you and my radio partner, Emma, would you like to come and come to the sound check tomorrow afternoon at the
you're joking me.
It was unbelievable. I was like so beside myself. We did an interview with him before the gig, and then we sat there in an empty arena, like with a couple of chairs. There was about 7 of us all together. Someone from BBC Radio, us from Heart Radio, someone from the press, like a Sunday Times reporter and a photographer, and he and the whole band. They did about 6 or 7 or 8 songs with lights. So we're sitting there. It's like 3:00 in the afternoon, and it's like, "Hey, Jono, here's a song you'll know. I bet you remember this one." And it was like, oh my God, I'm in an empty arena with a bunch of 7 people or 8 people.
Bloody, I got goosebumps, mate.
Oh, mate, you should see me. It was before the days of iPhone. Well, I was taking photographs, but I rang my mum in Sydney because we were in London at the London Arena, and I rang my mum and go, "Listen to this, Mum." And I kept calling myself and recording bits of songs. He did "Live and Let Die" with fireworks and explosions. He did Oxford. Hint from my wife: Who would you be self-isolated with? Johnny Cash or John Denver or one of you?
What I would have loved to have been around when John Denver was around, mate. You know, like I was only 4, but when he died. But I mean, like now listening to his music. Singing his music. He was a phenomenal songwriter and a phenomenal man too. Like a lot of the stories he was telling within his songs. And he was very passionate about the world and about the environment and many things like that. And I mean, I'd love to be. It's a hard one, mate, because I just love music in general. But like
back on the,
it started on Simon Townsend's Wonderworld, isn't it?
Yeah. That was about 1980. And before that, I was working for WSFM, which before it was an FM station. I was working for 2WS in West Sydney Radio, out at Blacktown, Seven Hills. So that was a big opportunity to obtain.
Anyone that you haven't met that you'd like to or interviewed?
I wish like you. I wish I'd had a chance to meet like John Lennon before he was, sort of taken from us. People like that, and even there's just so many fantastic performers that you kind of have had a sort of brush with, like even like Ray Charles. I got to meet Ray Charles years and years ago when I was an art student, and we painted the scenery for the back of Ray Charles's set when he did these shows at the Sydney Hilton Hotel in the 70s, and we all got to stay and watch Ray Charles play, and we met him backstage. But and Stevie Wonder I met years ago in Perth, but I think I've been very, very lucky. You can't meet everybody, whether it be regional.
Who would be one of your biggest inspirations, Jono, in life, career, or just in general?
Apart from you, Jason, it would be probably those people that come to the fore in a drama or an emergency, like Shane Fitzsimmons, the New South Wales guy who was in charge of the bushfire and the volunteer fire brigade and stuff. People like that just completely blow me out. That when there's a national emergency like a hurricane or floods, or whatever, they just go, right, okay. here's what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And there's people like that, thank God, in Australia, and there's people like that in the UK, and some people like that in America, besides the president. I think the one thing that keeps me entertained is when you see Donald Trump, you keep thinking to yourself, is this guy really the president of America, or is this just some really weird movie that I'm watching? But it's like,
Yeah.
there's a guy that always keeps us entertained because he's going, oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. We're going to get rid of this. Everyone's going to be back at work by Easter Sunday. And we're going, oh yeah, right. Okay, Donald, if you say so.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Unreal,
but
isn't it?
I think there are the heroes, the people that are working in the hospitals and the emergency services, the frontline people. I know we hear that all the time, but these people are day in, day out going to hospitals, paramedics going to ambulances and checking out people, whether it be regional Australia or the big cities. So they're the people that I really take my hat off to. Williams about 4 or 5 times as well, and interviewed him, and that was an amazing, wonderful guy, a brand of.
Mate, look, I just got one for people at home, Jono. Who would be one of the most interesting celebrities you've ever met, and what made them interesting, do you reckon?
I think Spike Milligan from the Goin show, John Cleese, Eric Idle, those sorts of people that I've been lucky enough to meet and interview, and even Leslie Nielsen I got to work with about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen that. Top Gun or Naked? No, Top Gun.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was Naked Gun, and Flying High, and all those kind of crazy movies. Leslie Nielsen used to spend quite a bit of time in the UK, and so I interviewed him and met him a few times in London. Then I was in a TV advert with him for a brand of cider. So working with him and getting friendly with him was fantastic.
Well, mate, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Jono, for sharing that with us and coming on and having a chat. I really appreciate it. As I said to you off air, this is completely different. I'm so used to people like yourself that obviously for me, I don't know what happened there. We seem to cut out. But anyway, thanks so much, mate. It's great. And I'm used to being interviewed. And for me to be sitting on the other side interviewing people like yourself is amazing. And I really appreciate that, John.
Well, see, it's like you're like a chat show host all of a sudden. You see, you've got your chat show leather sofa behind you. You could be the next Graham Norton. You never know. Going, my next guest comes all the way from Tamworth. So been a pleasure talking to you, and also it's lovely to send my regards to all the people all over Australia, anyone who's watching this, and of course, Jason, this going around the world, so who knows, my sister could be watching in Coventry. So
you never know, mate. You never know.
Yep. So listen, it's been a pleasure. Look after yourself and give my love to all the people out there in the streets of Dubbo.
Yeah, and you too, mate, in Sydney. Good on you, buddy. Thanks, Jono. See you, mate.